The fact that the world's first webcam was created at the University of Cambridge to monitor a coffee pot is a fascinating glimpse into how human ingenuity and necessity can intersect in the most unexpected ways. What may seem like an amusing, almost trivial invention reveals a broader story about technology, human behavior, and the way even the simplest of needs can inspire innovations that ultimately shape the future in profound ways. To fully understand this seemingly quirky fact, we must journey back to the early 1990s, a time before the omnipresence of the internet and webcams, when computing power was beginning to integrate into daily academic and social life. The invention of the webcam, initially meant to keep track of a communal coffee pot, might seem like an odd footnote in history, but it holds significance not only for its practical application at the time but also for what it foretold about the future of interconnectedness and digital convenience. It all started in the so-called Trojan Room at the University of Cambridge's computer laboratory. The Trojan Room coffee pot, an ordinary piece of office equipment, was a central fixture for the department's staff. As anyone who has worked in an office knows, coffee is often the lifeblood of productivity, and its availability can have a direct impact on workplace morale. For the staff of the computer laboratory, the availability of freshly brewed coffee was no small matter. The pot was located in a central area, but many researchers and staff were scattered across different rooms and floors. The problem was simple. People would often walk all the way to the coffee pot only to find it empty, resulting in unnecessary trips, wasted time, and inevitable frustration. This problem, though mundane, was enough to inspire a technological solution. The team, led by Quentin Stafford-Fraser and Jardetzky, began developing a system that would allow people to check the status of the coffee pot remotely from their computers. What they devised was revolutionary, albeit in a very modest way. A camera pointed at the coffee pot, which would take a live image of its state and transmit it over the local network to the computer screens of the lab's staff. This might seem underwhelming by today's standards, when webcams are built into nearly every device we own, but in the early 1990s, this was groundbreaking. At the time, the internet was still in its infancy, and the concept of streaming live images was not something readily available or even thought of in most circles. The Trojan Room coffee pot camera was, in fact, the very first webcam, a technology that would later become indispensable for communication, entertainment, and security. The system worked by capturing a single frame of the coffee pot every few seconds, which was then distributed to the lab's network. This allowed anyone in the building to check the coffee pot's status without leaving their desk, thus solving the original problem of wasted trips to an empty pot. What's striking about this invention is how it arose from a very basic need. The desire to avoid unnecessary trips to check the coffee pot was not, by any means, a grand or world-changing ambition. And yet, this very human desire for convenience catalyzed the development of what would become a ubiquitous technology. The webcam, as simple as it was in its initial form, laid the groundwork for an entirely new way of interacting with the world through live, real-time visuals. From that humble coffee pot in Cambridge, the webcam would eventually evolve into a tool used for everything from teleconferencing to broadcasting major global events. As the story goes, the Trojan Room coffee pot camera remained in use for several years, gaining notoriety as the first ever webcam and attracting attention beyond the university. In 1993, when the World Wide Web was gaining traction, the coffee pot feed was connected to the internet, allowing anyone in the world to see whether the coffee was ready or not. What had started as an internal solution for a small group of researchers now had global reach. The webcam became something of a cultural phenomenon in its own right, representing the playful side of early internet culture, where novel uses of technology could capture the imagination of people around the world. But beyond the novelty of monitoring a coffee pot, the webcam's creation hints at something much more significant: the ways in which technology can develop organically, in response to the simplest human needs, and then expand in ways that were never initially intended. The webcam was not designed to revolutionize communication or open up new avenues for business, education, or entertainment. It was created because a group of people wanted to know when coffee was ready. And yet, this small act of problem-solving anticipated the massive shift toward a world in which real-time visual communication would become essential. Today, webcams are embedded into nearly every aspect of our lives. They enable face-to-face communication across vast distances, making the world feel smaller and more connected. They are essential tools for remote work, distance education, telemedicine, and global collaboration. They allow us to share our experiences with others in real time, from personal video calls to live-streamed events that can be viewed by millions of people. And, of course, webcams are now integral to the security industry, where they monitor everything from homes to public spaces, ensuring safety and accountability in ways that were unimaginable just a few decades ago. The coffee pot that inspired this technology might seem trivial, but it serves as a reminder that the most transformative innovations often arise from the simplest of needs. The webcam, like many technologies, was not the result of a grand vision for the future, but rather the product of everyday human ingenuity. The kind of ingenuity that finds ways to make life just a little bit easier. And yet, once that invention was unleashed, its potential expanded far beyond its original purpose. There's also something deeply human about the fact that the first webcam was created to monitor a coffee pot. It speaks to our desire for comfort, efficiency, and connection in even the smallest aspects of life. Coffee, for many people, is a ritual, a comfort, and a source of energy. In an academic environment, where long hours of work and intellectual effort can be draining, the availability of coffee takes on an outsized importance. The webcam, in this context, was not just a piece of technology, it was a tool that made the lives of the lab's researchers a little bit better, by saving them the frustration of arriving at an empty pot. The coffee pot camera remained in operation until 2001, when the coffee machine it monitored was finally retired. By then, the webcam had far outgrown its original purpose, but the story of the Trojan Room coffee pot lives on as a quirky chapter in the history of computing and the internet. It is a reminder that innovation often comes from unexpected places and that even the most important technological advances can begin with something as simple as a desire for a fresh cup of coffee. In the broader scope of technological history, the creation of the first webcam is an example of how tools that solve small, everyday problems can grow into something far greater. Just as the coffee pot camera allowed researchers to be more efficient in their workday, modern webcams allow people around the world to stay connected, to collaborate, and to share their experiences in ways that enrich their personal and professional lives. It is easy to take for granted how far we've come, but when we look back at the origins of the webcam, we see a story not just of technology, but of the human desire to improve the world around us, even if it's just by making sure the coffee is ready when we need it. The invention of the webcam reminds us that every tool we use today, from the internet itself to the devices we rely on for communication, likely has roots in small, practical needs that were met by creative problem solvers. It is a testament to the idea that innovation is not always about grand ideas, but about the small, incremental improvements that make life just a little bit better. The next time you make a video call, stream a live event, or check a webcam feed, remember that it all started with a simple desire to avoid an empty coffee pot. From that desire came a technological revolution that continues to shape our world today, connecting us in ways that were once unimaginable and proving that sometimes, the most extraordinary inventions have the humblest of beginnings.